am Sergeant Monica C. Manuel, Philippine Army Reserve, from 105th Community Defense Center, 1st Regional Community Defense Group. I live in Barangay Bayawas, Urdaneta City, Pangasinan, and I am 21 years old, born August 28, 1999 at Urdaneta City, Pangasinan. I finished my advanced ROTC at Pangasinan State University, Urdaneta Campus. I finished my ROTC Summer Camp Training 31-32 and Advanced ROTC Academic Phase Training 41-42 at Manawag, Pangasinan.
Before we start our lecture, these are our classroom instructions. First, keep your phone on silent mode. Next, if you feel sleepy, do some stretching or exercises. If you need to go to the CR, just go straight to the CR. For the safety precautions, in case of fire, go out and go to your safe meeting place. If you feel sudden earthquake, do the drop, cover, and hold. Our lesson is about combat training for individual soldier. And the scope of our topic are about cover, concealment, camouflage, importance of camouflage, responsibilities during camouflage, rules in camouflaging, preparation for camouflaging, noise, light, and litter discipline, react to flares, fighting position SOPs, movement techniques, the day and night movement, and the hand and arm signal. And for our lesson objective, at the end of the lesson, the students should know what is the importance of combat training to individual soldier. First, let's go to cover. What is a cover? A cover is a protection from the fire of the enemy weapons. It may be natural or artificial. For the natural cover, the first one is ravines. Ravines is a long, narrow, steep-sided depression in the Earth's surface between a gully and a valley in size, especially one formed in running water. The next one is hollows. Hollows is an elongated lowland between ranges of mountains, hills, or other uplands, often having a river or stream running along the bottom. Another one is the reverse slope. It is positioned on the slope of an elevated terrain feature such as a hill, ridge, or mountain, located on the opposite from the attacking force. Another example of natural covers are the big trees and the big stone. And now we will go to artificial cover. The first one is foxholes. It is a small pit used for cover, usually for one or two personnel, and so constructed that the occupants can effectively fire from it. There are two types of foxholes. The first one is the one-man foxhole. If you are assigned to an individual position, dig a one-man foxhole. Dig a hole 2 feet wide by 3.5 feet long. Make it at least 4 feet deep, deeper if you are a tall man, to protect you from crushing action of tanks. Next, Dig out another 18 inches to make a firing step and a grenade sump. After the position is completely dug, put overhead cover on the rear. Finally, make a camouflage cover. Put over the open part of your foxhole in the daytime. Be sure to move the camouflage cover aside at night. The other one is the two-man foxhole. If you are assigned a two-man position, you and your buddy can work together to dig a two-man foxhole in hurry. If the situation requires, one of you can work while the other acts as security. Another example of artificial cover is the trench. A trench is a type of excavation or depression in the ground that is generally deeper than it is wide, and also narrow compared to its length, as opposed to a simple hole. They were mainly a type of hindrance to an attacker of a fortified location, or also acts as defensive walls. And lastly, walls. Walls is a fortification or a defense usually used to protect a city, town, or other settlement from potential aggressors. Next one is concealment. Concealment is a protection from enemy observation. It too may be natural or artificial. Concealment is not a protection from enemy fire. And for the natural concealment, there are grass, bushes, and shadow. And for the artificial concealment, there are burlaps, nuts, bushes, leaves, and grass. And now we will go to on how to conceal yourself. First, avoid unnecessary movement. Remain still. Movement attracts attention. You may be concealed when still, yet easily detected if you move. Movement against a stationary background causes you to stand out clearly. When changing positions, move carefully over a concealed route to the new position. Next, use available concealment. Background is important. Blend it to avoid enemy detection of your position. Trees, bushes, grass, earth, and man-made structure forming your background vary in color and appearance, making it possible for you to blend with them. Select trees or bushes which blend to your uniform and absorb the outline of your figure. Shadows help you hide. The soldier in open stand out clearly, but the soldiers in the shadow are difficult to see. Shadows are found under most conditions of day and night. Next, stay low to observe. Observe from a crouch, squat, or the prone position. You present a low silhouette, making it difficult for the enemy to see you. Next, expose nothing that shines. Reflection of light on a shiny surface instantly attracts attention and can be seen for great distance. Next, keep off the skyline. Figures on the skyline can be seen from a great distance even at night because a dark outline stands out against the lighter sky. The silhouette formed by your body makes a good target. Next, alter familiar outlines. Military equipment and the human body are familiar outlines to all soldiers. Alter or disguise these revealing shape. And lastly, keep quiet. Noise such as talking can be picked up by the enemy patrols or listening post. Next, camouflage is the art, means, or result of disguising things to deceive the enemy, as by painting or screening objects so that they are lost to view in the background, or by making up objects that have from a distance the appearance of fortification, guns, roads, and etc. Consists of the measures you take to conceal of yourself, your equipment, and your position from enemy observation by using natural or artificial material, or making yourself one with the nature, or blending yourself to the surroundings. And lastly, camouflage comes from the French word that means to play a practical joke, or to fool your foe, to think him that you are not there where in fact you are so close to him. Next, the importance of camouflage. Camouflage is one of the basic weapons of war. It can spell the difference between a successful campaign and defeat. To the individual, it can mean the difference between life and death. For if you do not camouflage well, the enemy have the advantage by knowing your position.
Now we will go to responsibilities. First, as individual. The individual soldier is responsible for his own concealment. His responsibility is just as great as his responsibility for his rifle, and he must know much about camouflage as he does about his weapon. Next, command. Overall unit camouflage is the responsibility of the commander. He must ensure the complete understanding by every man in his command of importance, principle, and techniques. Camouflage, plan, and execute camouflage measures for the operational, administrative, and logical areas for his command. We also have rules in camouflaging. First, take advantage of all available natural concealment. Alter the form, shadow, texture, and color of objects. And lastly, camouflage against ground and air observation. Next, preparation for camouflaging. First, on your position or location. First, we must study the terrain and vegetation in the area. Arrange the grass, leaves, bush, and other natural materials you use to conform to the area. Next, use only as much material as needed. Excessive use of material, natural or artificial, can reveal your position. Obtain your natural material over a wide area. Do not put on one area of all the foliage such as leaves and branches because it attracts enemy attraction. Next, dispose of excess soil by covering it with leaves and grass or by dumping it under bushes, into streams or into ravines. Piles of fresh dirt indicate an area is occupied and reduce effectiveness of camouflage. Next, after your camouflage is complete, inspect it from the enemy's viewpoint. Check often to ensure it remains natural looking and actually conceals your position. If it does not look natural, rearrange or replace it. And lastly, practice camouflage discipline. The best camouflage fails to provide concealment if tracks lead to your position or if cans and boxes are scattered about. Next is your equipment. Equipment must blend with the natural background. Your web equipment, pack belt, canteen cover, blends well with most terrain unless it is badly faded. If faded, color it to blend with the surrounding terrain. If no paint is available, use mud, charcoal, or crushed grass, and remember to paint in bold, irregular pattern. Next, alter the distinctive silhouette of your helmet with a cover made of cloth or burlap colored to blend with the terrain. Let foliage stick over the edges to alter the outline, but do not use too much. If material for cover is not available, disguise and dull the surface of your helmet with regular pattern of paint or mud. Use a camouflage band, string, burlap strips, or rubber banks to hold the foliage in place. Next, use mud or dirt to dull the shiny surface of your weapon. Be careful, however, to keep the working parts clean so your weapon will function properly. Remember to dull the shine of your bayonet. And lastly, color your equipment black or forest green when operating in the jungle. Next is the skin. Exposed skin reflects light and attracts the enemy's attention. Even very dark skin will reflect light because of its natural oil. Paint the shine areas, forehead, cheekbones, nose, and chin with a dark color. Paint the shadow areas, around the eyes, under the back of your neck and hands. Next, burn cork, charcoal, or lamp black can be used to tone down exposed areas of skin when issue type face paint sticks are not available. Mud may be used in an emergency. Remember that mud changes color as it dries and may peel off, leaving the skin exposed. Remember too that mud may contain harmful bacteria. When applying camouflage, use the body system work with another man and check if each other's skin reflects light and attracts the enemy's attention. Even very dark skin will reflect light because of its natural oil. Next is the noise, light, and litter discipline. First, let's go to the noise. Avoid all unnecessary vehicular and foot movement. Secure with tape or other materials the metal parts, for example, weapon slings, canteen cups, identification tags, to prevent them from making noise during movement. Next, do not restrict moving parts of weapons if doing so prevents their operation. Next, talk only to conduct or explain operations. And use radios only when necessary, keeping the volume low so only you can hear it. Next is the light discipline. Do not smoke except when concealed from enemy view. Note, smoking at night should be restricted as the enemy can see and smell the smoke. Next, conceal flashlights and other light sources so the light is filtered, for example, under a poncho. Cover anything that reflects light, for example, metal surfaces, vehicles, and glass. Use all available natural concealment. Next is your litter. Take all litter, empty food containers, empty ammunition cans or boxes, or old camouflage to establish collection points. Next, carry all litter with you until you can dispose of it without leaving any trace. Next is react to flare. Respond to ground flares. Move out of the illuminated area. Then, reorient yourself when alone or in a group by SOP or as instructed. Next is respond to an overhead flare with warning. For example, the sound of a rising flare. Assume the prone position behind concealment when available before the flare bursts. Then, use your night vision eye to reorient yourself or rejoin your group when the flare burns out. And lastly, respond to an overhead flare without warning. Assume the prone position behind concealment when available until the flare burns out. And crouch low until the flare burns out when crossing wire obstacles and when the prone position is not possible. And use your night vision eye to reorient yourself or rejoin your group when the flare burns out. Next one is the fighting position SOPs, or what are the things you need to do on your position. First, techniques of digging in, construction, concealment, and improvement. First is your sighting. Sight your position to provide the best field of fire and natural drainage. If possible, take advantage of available natural camouflage to reduce construction effort. Next, construction. For your equipment, the first step in a good plan for constructing a position is a consideration of your tools. An entrenching tool is issued to each soldier, but if necessary, you can use a helmet or bayonet. Keep your entrenching tool clean, sharp, and as dry as possible. With it, you can dig, soften, or break hard ground and clear brush for your field of fire. Next, shovel, axes, picks, and saws may be issued to you to clear firing lanes and heavy the sides of your position. Next one, concealment of fresh soil. The plan for your position must include ways to dispose of the soil. Part of it can be used to make a parapet of ridge of earth around your position. First is slice off and set aside the topsoil and grass. With fresh soil, build parapet all around the position. Assume 1 meter wide, packing it well until it is 6 inches high. Cover it with topsoil and grass to hide its lighter color. This parapet will help protect from small arms and will help prevent water draining to your position. Next to consider is the drainage. Provide for drainage by sloping the bottom of the hole so water flows to a place where it can be bailed cut with a helmet. Next, dig a sump for drainage, a small hole at the bottom of the position about 60 meters or 1 foot deep. Slope the bottom of the sump. Next, drainage is easy in a sandy soil but not in clay. When building overhead cover, include any waterproof material you can find, such as sheets of metals, doors, roofing paper, or your shelter hubs. Next, we need to build is the grenade sump. Fire steps usually slopes down into a deeper narrow slit called a grenade slump at the bottom to allow for the live grenades to be kicked in to minimize the damage from the grenade fragments. A grenade sump is 18 inches long and 8 inches in diameter. Cut a 30 degrees angle under the firing step. Next is the camouflage. A continuous step in building any position is to hide it. When possible, do your work at night, keeping movement and noise to a minimum. Make a camouflage cover for your position using materials. Cover the open part so the hole does not show up as a dark spot. Make the cover so you can drop it with the stakes to observe and fire for let it down if you desire. Be sure to replace foliage as it dries out. Next is the improvement. Improvement consists of reinforcing construction storage space for ammunition and construction overhead cover, and later on a place to sleep. Continue improvement until you leave the position. The reinforcing. Sandy soil is apt to cave in at any time, and almost any soil will cave in when wet. To prevent this, strengthen or rivet the side of your position with saplings, young trees that have grown to a diameter of between 1 to 5 inches and have reached a height of at least 4.5 feet. This riveting requires a lot of saplings of about the same size and something to hammer them into the ground. Shell case, ammunition boxes, sandbags, scrap metal, chicken wire, corrugated metal, and scrap lumber may also be used. In a static situation, or when material is scarce, riveting called brushwood hurdle may be built to the rear of your position. Next is the ammunition. Construct a storage space to keep your ammunition and grenades dry, clean, and readily available. You may use old ammunition boxes. For this purpose, install whatever type container you use into the side of your position within easy reach. When the enemy attacks, ammunition and grenades are readily available and serviceable. Next is your cover. Your helmet gives some protection from shell fragments, but you need more protection under heavy fire and nuclear attack. Get this protection by covering part of your position with at least 45 centimeters or 18 inches of hasty cover, and if time permits, with 100 to 115 centimeters or 3 to 5 feet of logs, soil, rocks, and sod piled together or in that order. If waterproofing is desired, place it between the sod and rock layers and between the rock and soil layers. Place paper canvas or empty sandbag between the log and soil layers to prevent dust from seeping through on you. Never support the overhead cover on sandbag or revetment. Both may settle or collapse under the weight. And also consider your sleeping quarters. Should you occupy a position for some time, it is necessary to construct some type of adjoining compartment for sleeping quarters. Next, under fighting position SOPs is the hasty positions. These are good for a short time because they give some protection from direct fire. If you stay in the area, they must be developed into well-prepared positions. First is the skirmisher's trench. A shallow trench with a ridge or parapet on the side toward the enemy to provide body protection when you first stop. It can be developed into a prone emplacement or to a 1 or 2 man foxhole if you stay in the area. Next is the prone emplacement. This emplacement is a refinement of the skirmisher's trench and provides more protection. Next one is the shell crater. A shell crater can be made into a hasty position, and this is the example. Next is the tunnels. When a narrow dikes, hedgerows, or leaves are to be used as cover and concealment for a short time, you may dig a tunnel through the embankment to form an opening and to observe and fire at the enemy. Our next topic is about the preparation for movement. First, we need to do is prevent equipment from making noise. Next, wear comfortable, well-fitted clothes tied up at the ankle and with additional bands for camouflage. And carry only what equipment is necessary for the mission. Next is the day individual movement techniques. What are the things we need to do during the day movement? First, move in a reasonable supporting distance. Follow the furrows when moving on the plowed field. And avoid outstanding landmarks. Always move by bounds. Keep off the skyline. Avoid open areas. Always select next spot before leaving your present position. Avoid obstacle if possible. Next, if you are moving in tall grass, change direction slightly from time to time. Try to move when the wind is blowing the grass. Avoid danger areas. Cross roads and trails where there is cover and concealment. Avoid steep slopes and areas with loose stones. Next, when you are moving, be constantly of your surroundings. Don't leave traces. When crossing open terrain like roads, clearing, rivers, streams, creeks, or other that may give nor place you in danger, select the narrowest and shallowest portion and cross on the double. Lastly, carry weapon and fighting equipment in a manner where can be employed immediately. Next is the movement over, through, and or around obstacles. In general, when approaching an obstacle, always remember that it is maintained or booby-trapped. Bypass the obstacles if possible. If you go under them, be mind that they may be under close enemy observation. Next is logs. Lay parallel to the log. Slide over the log sideways. Move over it as crab would. Move quickly and maintain a low silhouette. Immediately assume a prone firming position after crossing the log and carefully observe the area to your front before you start moving again. Next is the trenches. Upon approaching a trench, hit the ground before reaching the trench. Hike roll up to the trench and place your rifle in your shoulder. Lean forward, bringing the muzzle of your weapon to bear into the trench and to wire it if needed. After you have inspected the trench, swing your feet around so you are parallel to the trench and enter feet first, staying as low as possible target. Next is the walls. Walls will be crossed only if there is no way to bypass them. Next is the wire obstacles. Stay low wherever approaching a wire obstacle. Silhouette the wire against the sky prior for crossing. Barbed wire may be crossed by bridging, crossing over wire, and crossing under wire.
Next is for the danger areas. A danger area is any place where one may be exposed to enemy observation of fire. Next, there is also the night movement techniques. At night, and when moving through dense vegetation, avoid making noise. Hold your weapon with one hand and keep the other hand forward, feeling for obstruction. Next, movement in reasonable supporting distance. Be watchful in enemy's tripwires and flares. Avoid any obstacles. Move by bounds. When you stop, always listen and observe. When picking a route to move on your next location, move around thick undergrowth, dense wood, and step in terrain if possible. As in daytime, you must also constantly aware of your immediate availability. And do not use open lights. Next is the hand and arm signal during movement. First is the change in direction or column, right or left. Extend arm horizontally to the side, palm to the front. Next is when enemy is in sight. Hold the rifle horizontally with the stock in the shoulder. Next is when assembling. Raise the hand vertically to the full extent of the arms, fingers extended and joined, palm to the front. Wave in large horizontal circles with the arm and hand. Next is the freeze signal or a make signal for hold. Make a fist with the hand. Another is down or take over. Extend arm sideward at an angle of 45 degrees above horizontal. Palm down and lower it to the side. Repeat until understood. Next, increase speed. Carry the hand to the shoulder. Fist close. Thrust the fist upward rapidly vertically to the full extent of the arm and back of the shoulder several times. Next is the hasty ambush, right or left. Raise least to shoulder level. Thrust it several times in the desired direction. Moving with a team. Move as a member of a team. Each soldier in a team has a set position in the wedge, determined by the type of weapon he carries. The team leader, to meet the situation, may change the position. The team leader leads by setting example. His standing order is follow me and do as I do. And for the summary, we have learned about the cover, the types of covers, concealment, the types and how to conceal yourself. Next is the camouflage, the importance of camouflage, the responsibilities, the rules in camouflaging, and preparation for camouflaging. We have also learned about the noise, light, and litter discipline, on how to react to flares, the fighting position SOPs, and the movement techniques, the day and night movement, and the hand and arm signal.